When you look in this division, first off, it's the best division in football right now. I don't think anybody can argue that. I know a lot of people hate the Steelers. I get all that. A lot of people hate the Browns, and the Ravens are in everybody's side. Everybody just, loves the Bengals because how could you not? It's the Bengals. But nonetheless, this is the best division in football. Hence, you get the worst schedules.
Welcome to Six Rings and Counting. I'm your host, Corey Idle, and joining me as always is my man, Mr. Lou Willard. Lou, how we doing today?
You know what? I'm doing great. And it's the pre-stuff that we say, or the stuff we say before we start recording that causes the laughs.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Today, for you Steelers fans, for Yin's Steelers fans, we are breaking down the away schedule, the opponents of this 2024 Steelers team. And as Lou brought up before, we have to point out, the schedule has not came out when we are recording this show. So a lot of what's going to happen is going to depend on when we play who, what their schedules are, et cetera, right?
Yeah, this is just basically, we see who we play. But do you go to Baltimore Monday night and then come back and go to the Eagles on Sunday? Right. We don't know yet. We'll know that a week from now as we record. And that's why we'll do another show probably in August, right before the preseason, to really break down the schedule and give a more precise record, precise. I guarantee you, whatever we think today, and when we do the home games and get that total schedule, will be different when we do it in August. Guarantee you. There'll be injuries, there'll be cuts. You'll see teams play, or you'll know what you got. So this is always fun, though. This is always fun for me.
Well, if I can keep it a buck, I'm an American. I will never change my mind, no matter what you say. What I say now stands 10 toes down. Starting off, we're going to just run through these at random order. Again, we don't know when we play who.
Yeah.
So random order, we're going to start in the division. Of course, we have to, with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. When you look in this division, first off, it's the best division in football right now. I don't think anybody can argue that. I know a lot of people hate the Steelers. I get all that. A lot of people hate the Browns, and the Ravens are in everybody's side. Everybody just, loves the Bengals because how could you not? It's the Bengals. But nonetheless, this is the best division in football. Hence, you get the worst schedules.
Yes.
Like, Pittsburgh's schedule is tough. But in this division where everybody finished above 500 last year, Pittsburgh went 5-1. Went 5-1.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive. Now, they caught the Bengals without Burrow. But look, that's not our fault he got hurt. You play with who take the field. They split with Cleveland, as they will do again this year. They will split with Cleveland. But right now, we got Baltimore in our back pocket. For as much respect as I give them on this show, being Six Rings and Counting, so we're all Pittsburgh, Baltimore's one of the best coached teams. I said it on the last show. I'm saying it again now. But we're 8-1 against them, 7-1, 8-1 against them in the last 8-9 games. I mean, there's something to be said for that. And people go, well, Lamar didn't play. We didn't bench him. That's not our fault.
It's true.
And we had Mason Rudolph. You didn't have Lamar, but we had Rudolph. So we had no quarterback either. But so, yeah, I mean, you look at the division games, they're going to be rough. Ideally, Pittsburgh, this is a rough division. If they can pull off 5-1, it's going to be rough. Rough.
Yes.
If they can go 4-2, they're off to a really good start in that division. 4-2 may be the best record in that division.
Well, we're calling a split with the Browns.
Yeah.
We're saying we have a good chance of beating the Ravens at home. The Bengals, toss-up?
They generally beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati and usually lose to them at home for whatever reason. So you figure a split's 3-3, but they're sweeping somebody. They're sweeping somebody. And if I had to take the pick, just look at the trends, I'd have to say it's the Ravens because Lamar doesn't play well against Pittsburgh.
No, they got him figured out.
Yeah, he does not, for whatever reason, play well against Pittsburgh. And this dude's a 2-time MVP, and he's young still.
Mm-hmm.
And he just does not perform well against Pittsburgh. So if I said, believe it or not, I would call, as much praise as I've given them, I would say they'll sweep the Ravens.
Boom. Good move, Patrick Queen. Let's move out of the division. Talk about the Raiders. What are we looking at with Las Vegas? I mean, they got a new attitude with Pierce as their coach. Still really don't have, I'm not sold on the quarterback in Aiden Connell or whatever his name is.
That's going to be Gardner Minshew probably.
That's even worse in my mind.
Yeah, I just don't. But this is the game. At least the Raiders moved out of California because Pittsburgh does not win in California. They lose all the time in California. So maybe by just going to Vegas, you can pull up a little short and get a win.
There you go.
These are games Tomlin stubbed his toe against teams like this. Remember last year we lost before the Rams kicked it in. The Rams were a bad team, and then they got hot. Lost to the Rams, lost to the 3-14 Cardinals. Or 4-13 Cardinals. There's that 17th game.
Yeah, you got
at home. At home. So we'll put up some stinkers now. So this is one of them trap games that you got to watch because they're not going to be a joke. You still got Devontae Adams. You have Mike Mayers at tight end. Then you have Brock Bowers, dude they just picked up at tight end.
Yep.
And then somebody still got to block Max Crosby, who's just wreaking havoc on the league.
Yes.
So they're going to be formidable, and they play hard for Antonio Pierce. But going out there, this is a game you got to win. It's the Raiders. It's not the Raiders of the 70s or 80s. It's right. You got to beat the Raiders. But it's a West Coast game for the Steelers, and those usually don't fare well.
I assume we're going to feel the same way about the Broncos traveling out to Denver, a game you may go to.
But this is one I'm not really worried about because they're paying our quarterback. So we should be good. And if Russ plays well in one game all year, it is this one. And I hope this game is early in the season because, like you said, I might go.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, my son lives out there. Well, he's in Colorado Springs, close enough. But if it's in the winter, I'm not going. No. My kid don't play on the team. I sit live out there. I am not going out there to sit in no snow, watching no football game in Denver, and all that's improper English, but y'all understand what I'm saying.
100%. And I think that is a perfect segue into our next stop, a place we caution every fan. Don't go to this place. Philadelphia, the Eagles we have on the road. Short trip.
That stadium is sweet, though. I went 2 years ago. That's my son's team, actually. So we went out there, and here's the problem with the Eagles. Every time Pittsburgh go there, we get blown out. Last time, I think, was 34-3. Luckily, it's only once every 8 years. But when they come to Pittsburgh, they typically beat them, too. So this is going to be a rough game. And the Eagles, they have their core together. They, obviously have these all-stars were Hurts. But then now they re-signed those 2 wide receivers. I mean, they're locked in, man. They're locked in. If they redid their defensive backfield, and that all creates, good optimism for them. But that means they're going to be young back there too. So, but Pittsburgh's going to be young in the receiving core.
And Philadelphia lost some big weight on that offensive line.
They really did. Losing Jason Kelce is, you lose your center. Ask the Steelers. You lose your center, you're fumbling around till you find one. It's not as egregious as losing the quarterback, but it's the second. As far as people look at it, you go left tackle, and then you start working down. Yeah. But you lose your center, man. He's calling protections. He's calling everything. So this is going to be a huge shift for them to see what they do. That's going to be a hellfire game. And like I said, a lot of this all depends on where they fall in the season. Because teams don't click. Some teams click early. Some teams click late. I'm not even getting into the injury thing because that's neither here nor there. Everybody's going to have injuries. But nonetheless, that's going to be a good football game. And hopefully we can stay within 31 points of them this year.
Well, we have a better team, so hopefully, yes. Keeping on that same subject, talking about early versus late, moving on to the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Got a young quarterback, Jaden Daniels, going to be probably starting for them, you would think.
Walking in starting.
Would you rather have him early in your year?
Absolutely.
When you have no tape on him, or later when you get some tape on him?
Because here's the kicker. You want him early. And I'm going to tell you why. You get tape on him, but he also get experience as you go later in the year.
Okay.
So you want him early when he's going to throw picks. You might as well get him early when he's going to throw them to you. You know what I mean? Remember Peyton Manning, his rookie year threw 28?
Oh, yeah.
28 picks, 15 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns, something. The numbers were completely backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You catch this kid young, but he does have Cliff Kingsbury, who can really help him out. And if they gel, they're going to be formidable because they have Jahan Dotson, Scary Terry. I told you the other day. Robinson Jr. They got they have some weapons, man. Yeah. And it looks like they paid attention to their line, and they could be formidable if he can click, but you still want him early. I mean, you take him anytime he's a rookie. Why wouldn't you?
Sure.
Especially when you play a complicated defense like the Steelers play. Like, he should really struggle because the North plays the East this year. So you'll see what this kid got right out the gate because that's the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens defenses.
Mm.
That's out of the division. That's not even in his division where he faces Michael Parsons twice. Diggs for the Cowboys twice. I mean, he's not the Eagles defense and Jalen Hurts and them twice.
Mm-hmm.
So this kid is getting baptism under fire out the gate. At least his pocketbook show it.
Yeah,
because
he's going to be all right.
He's in for a long year.
I'm not feeling it bad for anybody that can afford their own plane.
I wouldn't put it that far. That's second contract money.
Oh, my bad. Moving on. We're going to the Midwest. Indianapolis, essentially facing another rookie quarterback, and Anthony Richards. Never saw him play for the most part last year.
Yeah, he got hurt. He's an athlete. He wants to run around a lot though, and that's why he missed most of the year doing all that running around. And if you do that against teams like the Steelers, because again, you're going to get hit. Like, I know they keep modifying and changing the rules, but the more you run around, somebody going to tattoo you. And if they get tired of you running around, somebody going to hit you and just take the 15.
So does a guy like Joey Porter negate a guy like Michael Pittman? I know the rules are skewed for the offense a little bit more, so he's going to get his. Michael Pittman will eat, but does Joey Porter take him out of that dominant game he could have? That's
why we drafted him. He has to take him out. The object is for JPJ to take Pittman out, Jamar Chase out, Amari Cooper out, Zay Flowers out for the Ravens. AJ Brown. I can go to every team.
Right.
His job is to take that head guy out, that lead receiver out. So if he can, he'll get a big contract the next time around. If he can't, he'll move to the 2 and you got to find another corner. But that's the object. So it's like my old grandpa used to say, win some, lose some.
Mm-hmm.
But the object's to win more than you lose. And a lot of that goes into, and these are more detailed shows that you just don't have time to get into.
Sure.
Who's the officiating crew? That's what people don't look at. Some officiating crews are notorious for throwing PI.
Mm-hmm.
Some are notorious for letting you tug and grab, letting the receiver push off.
Right.
In other words, I don't know, letting the grown men play tackle football. But some of them get flag happy. If you get flag happy guys, all these guys are going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a modest crew, it should be a good football game. Because look at Cleveland's secondary. They have 3 potential all-pros back there. And then you got Myles Garrett wreaking havoc on everybody up front. So, but if you get a ticky-tack, officiating crew, bam, they get lit up like they did in the playoff game. And I'm not saying go out there with the stick 'em like Lester Hayes and grab and hold and pull and tug everybody. Our listeners don't even know you don't even know who Lester Hayes is. Y'all babies. Google it, kids. You can figure out a lot. You can learn a lot from a dummy. Check out Lester Hayes. I can tell you right now.
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Lou Willard. Moving on to the Falcons. I think this is probably one of their most interesting away games. The Falcons have totally rebuilt.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to the early versus late, this time with Kirk Cousins coming off that injury.
Yeah.
Do you want him early, why that may be a little stiff and he's a little afraid to move on that Achilles? Or do you want him later? Or does it even matter with
it doesn't matter with Kirk. He's been around too long.
Yeah.
For Atlanta's sake, you hope he's healthy because you gave him $180 million and guaranteed $100 million of it. But then again, this is why I'm on the island with the pick of Michael Penix Jr., which I like.
Right.
And I'm the only one that you've ever met in your life that likes it. But nonetheless, I get why they did it. Pittsburgh will have the home field advantage in the away game in Atlanta. They will pack it out. They'll have the home field advantage in Vegas. So there's places that will go, Washington, and have the home field advantage in Atlanta. It's just another one. But Atlanta does have Bijan, Pitts. They got a new coach. They have a new sense of hope. Yeah. They've seemed to rally around everywhere. Arthur Blank, the owner, has done a great job to bring them together. But like we talked about on the last show, that said, you can't pull the trigger and fire these guys this year if it goes bad because you sacrifice your first pick for the future. That's what you did. Because keep in mind, at that 8th pick, they could have had the best defensive player who they thought in their mind in the draft. Because no defensive player was taken until 14 or 15?
Yeah.
So they're sitting at 8. So whoever you think, I don't care what position, whoever you think is the best defensive player in the draft is, you had him. And you went with a quarterback that by your contract to the guy you just signed is not going to play for 4 years. And if you're lucky, he won't.
Everybody likes to talk about, we've talked about Russell Wilson, right? He's going to play really well in Denver. That's his revenge game. Does Arthur Smith have a revenge game? Is that a thing for coordinators and coaches?
I mean, they fired him. So he may say no, but he lying.
Yeah.
He may say it's not, but it is. I mean, they fired the guy. And turns out when you won't give Bijan the ball, you probably should get fired. The guy.
Oh, I agree.
You won't throw it to Kyle Pitts. You're making, who was the other tight end that was killing everybody in fantasy? And we're going, Kyle Pitts is running wide open too. And they keep throwing it to the other. Who's good? I forget his name, but he all right.
Yeah.
But he's done. He's a little, long in the tooth. But nonetheless, there's going to be a little bit of, there's always that. They won't come out and say it, but yeah, there'll be a lot of that in there.
A little bit of balling out.
But this is another danger game. Atlanta, Washington, Raiders, Colts. I can't even say Colts because they almost made basically they didn't make the playoffs, but they had a play-in game and they lost at home to the Texans.
Right.
But you look at the Raiders, Washington, Falcons, these are trap games for the Steelers because boy, oh boy, Tomlin, I love me some Mike, but they got to clean these losses up against these bad teams.
Obviously, I think we have the team.
Yeah.
We can take anybody we go up against. Do I think we'll go undefeated? No, it's the NFL.
Yeah.
Everything happens, everything changes week to week. That being said, do you think we have the mules to really get these guys on an away schedule? And does that give Mike the confidence to maybe take a different approach with his coaching?
No, your coaching is going to stay the same. I mean, barring injury and all that, you modify it week to week. So I contradict myself there, but you modify your coaching week to week depending on who you play. But at the same time, you are who you are. The object is to impose your will on who you're playing. Like if you want to be reactionary all the time, you're not going to win a lot. Like you always hear them say, well, we wanted to take what the defense was giving us, but you still trying to do what you want to do.
Sure.
If that makes sense. Yeah. That may or may not make sense to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, if we say we want to establish the run, I don't care what they do. Now, when it comes to passing, obviously you're not going to go out here and just start throwing at, Ward for the Browns, Denzel Ward for the Browns, sure. Sauce Gardner. You might want to find somebody else to throw at. Like you can try them because everybody has an off day, but I wouldn't go into the game saying we're just going to throw at him 20 times.
Right.
That's a bad idea. So you even look at these guys with your upper echelon receivers in the league, your Justin Jeffersons. Doesn't matter who's guarding him, you throw him the ball. George Pickens is trying to become that guy. He's not there yet, and I think part of it is because the quarterback that you had. But he loves to go deep. Russ loves to take deep shots. So you're about to see if he can become a DK Metcalf. If he can, that is great for Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
That's great for Pittsburgh if he can.
Which leaves you with Calvin Austin as your Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, but he just signed with the Titans.
Yeah. But I meant Tyler Lockett anyway. Excuse me. So we have the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, Raiders, Broncos, Eagles, Commanders, Colts, and Falcons all the way. Which one, getting one team on that list that absolutely terrifies you?
Outside of the division? Would be the Eagles, clearly, because they're playing for Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. Washington is trying to get back. They're trying to reestablish, as are the Raiders. The Colts are trying to win their division. Atlanta's competing for their division, but we're talking about the AFC South and NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. Put the Steelers in AFC South. Come on. Let's take anybody out of the North and put them in one of those two divisions, and they're running right through it. They may go 6-0 in that division.
100%.
They may very well go 6. And I'm not just talking Steelers. I'm talking Browns, Bengals, Ravens. But because those divisions are, there's no soft divisions in. This is the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's soft. But there's divisions you'd rather play in. Wouldn't you rather go play in Jacksonville where they have swimming pools in the stadium?
I don't know about Jacksonville.
Then go to Cleveland and play where they're throwing stuff at you from the stands?
Well, yes. Those are my options.
Yeah,
yes.
No. If them are my options. Wouldn't you rather go to Vegas and play? And this is the Raiders, but I know it's AFC West. You don't want to mess with the Chiefs. But go to Vegas. It's a mixed crowd.
Mm-hmm.
There's people coming to the game that don't really care for football. They just know it's a game and want to party. It's Vegas. So it's not a daunting schedule. You get out to the division brutal.
Yeah.
The division is brutal. Now, Pittsburgh there was a time I went to this game in Cincinnati. There was probably 60, 65, 70% Steeler fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the case anymore. Not the case.
Very true.
So you look at it, you go to Cleveland, you don't get that home field advantage. They want to fight Pittsburgh fans. What are we fighting for? We ain't getting paid. We ain't fighting nobody. I'm fighting 3 people. Nobody.
All 3 of them.
All 3 of them at the same time.
Well, wrapping up the show, you heard it here first from Lou Willard. We're going 8-1 in away games, and the rest of your divisions are trash. For Lou Willard, I'm Corey Idle. This is 6 Rings and Counting. We'll talk to you next time.